So one of the things I want to bring up right now is a concept of perfection. It's this idea that your coach, your trainer, your friend, your family member, your boss, your colleague, the people around you have their shit together. They don't. Or if they do in one part of their life, they probably don't in another part of their life. You know, one person can be really good at doing some task, but then lo and behold, they leave this other task behind. The kitchen looks amazing. It's always spotless and clean. Just don't go into the den. Just don't go into this other room. Or you hear the salesman who says, oh, this is how things work, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be great, and you're like, oh, you don't got your stuff together there, sir. Miss, you're telling me you are this trainer, and yet you don't have your own stuff together. So, from that statement, there are two components that show up. Number one, it's what I have said from my first introductory video when I decided to really start going with this channel thing, which is admit you're not perfect. I am not perfect, and I am lazy at times. I do not want to edit videos. I do not want to do all that stuff. Maybe one day I will. Maybe in regards to certain topics or certain types of videos I will. But generally speaking, I'm not going to. I am not perfect. I am not good at certain things. And even things I think I'm good at, I'm probably not nearly as good as I'd like to be or even need to be at times. So own the imperfection for yourself. Know that just because you don't have the bathroom clean, but every other room in the house is spotless, you got it. You're doing it. You know, the person who has a salad and all the healthy meal and then has a soda. I mean, we can say hypocritical, we can say all these things, we can say this person is just not perfect. So that second component is knowing that the other person is not perfect either. You hear the person saying, you're looking for somebody who has it together, or they sound like they have it together. Lo and behold, you realize they don't. But then comes the really big question. When somebody realizes you don't have your stuff together the way that you think you ought to, or said you did, or something like that, how do you want the other person to react? How are you going to react? When it's the other person who doesn't have their stuff together, you're like, cool, you're planning on doing this in this amount of time. Awesome. Oh, wow, you're nowhere near where I want. Dude, the place is just a wreck. Do you discount that person? Do you want to be discounted? There are plenty of people who like Confucius. And, he had the 5 great relationships. Number 1, parent to child. Number 2, spouse to spouse, or husband and wife. Number 3, older sibling, younger sibling. Number 4, older friend, younger friend, or mentor, student, teacher, student. And number 5, ruler and subject. And there's a reason for that structure and all that things. But you know what? Confucius himself didn't really have it all together. He struggled. He had challenges. Did learning through some of those challenges cause him to be better at teaching? Maybe. Did he talk about those challenges? I actually haven't read enough Confucius to know completely the answer to that question. If a person isn't 100% good, at what point do you discount what they cannot? Now, I'm gonna go into some cancel culture type topics here. Please note this is in part playing the devil's advocate and just asking you to think about these things. You absolutely adore somebody. You love what they're saying. Their tips and tools and techniques for building are amazing. They have saved you time and energy and money. Well, you just found out that they cheated on their wife? Let's go with that one. Maybe because you're friends with their wife, you stop doing business with them or something. But does it discount everything else? And I'm using this big thing like cheating. Or if in a church, it'd be using the big thing, the embezzling money, if you will. I'm just using it as an example. It doesn't have to be a church. It can be any business. You know, the thing is, and I'm talking about big things that we universally could say are, you should not be doing this. But what about when it's a small thing? Oh, I thought you were ready to do this next step. Oh, I didn't realize that you didn't know how to do this component. You just knew how to do that component. You're not really an expert at Adobe Photoshop. You know, one of the things I dislike about marketing and advertising is having to try and determine your value in relationship to the goods and the services and the experiences and the credentials and all that. And then whether you can deliver 100%. And it's a perfectionist problem. And then the question comes, well, if you're a perfectionist, just do nothing. It's easier. You know, I could edit these videos probably really simply and just like spend 5 minutes on them, which would not be too much time out of my day. And they would be imperfect, but I'd rather be imperfect by not editing them. When we present ourselves, you know, you're looking to go on a date and you put the best picture you have and you're trying to hide all the craziness. And then over the days and the weeks and the months, they realize you're not crazy. But by then, ideally, you've established all the things that you are and actually are and now created a relationship. Do you do that with friends? Do you do that with businesses? You know, there's a place that Mike and I love to eat Mexican food at. And we've been there like 10, 12 times, I think, or at least like 9. And one time we went, the service was, there's still dirty food on the table, and it just was not a good experience. Had that been our first experience, we may have discounted the place. Probably not, because a friend told us it was good. We'd probably give it a second try. But because we know it can be better, we can forgive that slight, really not good evening, even the food. But we've been there since, and we'll go there again. Understand you are not perfect. Understand no other being is perfect. Decide what degree of imperfection you want people to be okay with for you. I don't want anyone to see me as imperfect. I want to be seen as the end all be all. Honey boy. Yeah, honey boy. Honey child. Male, female, don't matter. You just, it ain't happening. Bless your heart. Seriously, bless you. The trick is welcoming those imperfections. Welcoming those, well, you're not really at that step yet, but guess what? I can still benefit from you, or you can still benefit from me. And again, it goes back to something I mentioned in the video, which is sometimes the kid who doesn't have experience, doesn't have the credentials, the academic backing and training, can come up with the solution for something that you, in all of your years of experience and your friends with their credentials and academic training, etc., couldn't come up with. Sometimes having other skill sets actually gives you a skill set you didn't even know about, nor did the people who had that skill set. When we cancel someone because one part of their life is messed up, yeah, I know, murder, the big things, the rape, the murder, the blatant, like, disregard for human life, yeah, we gotta have another conversation about that. But ask yourself, do you want to be given another chance? What is it that somebody could end up saying or doing about you and your life and your mistakes? I mean, pretty sure you've had some mistakes. I know I have. Dude, I would not want to be a politician per se, simply because I have done some stuff that, you know, I don't regret it, but man, I would do it differently. And there have been people that have been toxic towards me that I just, in a political world, would not be nice. Or people where I've been the toxic one. I hate that word toxic because it's toxic. The fact is, I have people in my life who have been in my life for a decade plus, 2 decades, and there have been times where they've been the toxic one, or I've been the toxic one, or neither of us have been toxic, or both of us have been toxic. I did a rant about toxic people on Facebook, gosh, a year ago. I wish I remembered everything I said. Unfortunately, it was in a Robbins group, or a Graziosi group, or a Pete group, or one of those groups, so it's gone. I'm sure it's in some archive somewhere in Facebook space, but yeah. Stepping back. The idea is you meet yourself where, one of the ideas, is that you meet yourself where you're at. You meet others where they're at. You can have expectations for them to be further ahead. That's okay. But don't turn expectations into really harsh judgments. And don't make your judgments become super high expectations. Now, what about you saying that we need to value ourselves and value others and know our value and not let people, lessen our value? In different times and different situations, different things are needed. And what's needed one time might not be what's needed next time. It's a convoluted, messed up world we live in, where the conditions, the variables change everything. And what are the conditions of happiness? Right now it's driving on a road where I get to see plenty of trees with all the different colors. Beautiful blue sky. See, just a moment of happiness. How do you want to be received? Is that how you receive others? Do you want somebody to be compassionate and understanding that you're going through shit that you don't want to talk about and you don't want to share, and it's eating you inside, but you're trying to be strong and be this pillar of whatever knowledge, skill thing? And again, I mentioned it in a few videos back, was, you have this desired pride, which is different than the positive pride. beneficial pride, the beneficial ego. In each of these things, pride can be a virtue, pride can be a vice. Ego is important and necessary. Ego can get too strong. Can you have too much compassion? Possibly. Because there might be some area of your own life you're neglecting because of your compassion for others. Are these contradicting ideas or contradictory? Yeah, sometimes they are. Are they complementary? Absolutely. What can be good can be bad. What can be bad can be good. And so when we meet someone, we don't know everything that's happening with them. Compassion. We don't know if the labels that we're trying to use for them are the right labels, or if all the things that a label has fits this person. You know, the person who wears glasses is nerdy. Well, maybe not. You don't know until you get to know the person. Yeah, but most of the people I meet, I only see them for a few minutes because it's at the grocery store, or it's the person who just cut me off in traffic. And I don't know, maybe they do have an emergency to go to, and I should think of it that way. Well, maybe you should. Maybe that is a way to help let go of things. But coming back to, we're circling around and around this topic and touching on it sometimes as I go on tangents. Nobody's perfect. Not you, not anybody else. Understand that. Practice what it means to understand that. Practice what it means to say, okay, if I can still love this person who's imperfect, if I can still desire to help this person who is imperfect, then I can also accept when I have to say that I am not perfect. And that other people want to hear and see that imperfection. Because somehow, when we work through our imperfections, we might help somebody else. As we work through our imperfections. And yes, after the fact. And after the fact, we can have the advice to say, I wish I had known this when I was going into the situation. Yeah, but maybe you actually did know it, but you didn't have the time, the energy, the support, the something. Don't beat yourself up later, and don't think other people are going to beat yourself up because they're like, oh, well, you used to tell me that. Why didn't you do it? Well, I didn't think to do it, or I had all these other things. Well, see, you're not the one to give me advice. Well, you know, you're right. I'm not the one to give you advice. I'm not the one to give anybody advice, really. And yet at the same time, by sharing my journey, sharing my advice, maybe it will help somebody else. Even if all it does is help somebody say, this person is a total mess. You know, there was this big phrase that came about at one point last year. Like, all of a sudden, all the coaches and people I was, like, around, I guess it was 2019 or 2020. We're in 2021, so it was 2019, I think. Dude, the last couple years, I have just been a mess sometimes and thinking. Probably doesn't help that I have another, probably minor concussion from hitting my head again. But this idea, real quick, was owning your mess. Don't let it stress. Own your mess. I mean, there are so many different phrases and statements about figuring out how to allow yourself to be messy. Because guess what? so are so many other people. We're just cluster messes, just as the world is, just as existence is. And yet there is this gorgeous, beautiful, I'm like, gosh, blessing that comes with that messiness. Let yourself be messy. Let yourself be seen that way. In whatever way that mess is. Maybe you have it totally together in one portion of life, but whatever part of your life is messy, it's okay to show it. It's okay to let it be seen. And it's okay to let it go. Let it go. Okay, I'm so not going there. I really need to watch Frozen. I do. I want to watch it at this point. So other updates. Yeah, I did actually hit my head pretty hard yesterday. And I don't think it's bruised, but it feels like it is. Like it hurts. Yeah. And beyond that, I got stuff at Lowe's. Not all the stuff I need. I need to look on Amazon for an electric blanket, a dehumidifier. Not a humidifier, a dehumidifier. And research more on foam boarding. And then I have all the grading to do. But I also am helping my friend Becca. And I'm going to do that here in a short few little bits. For now, I am going to find what brings bliss. The bliss bringer is the yellow tree, showing turns of the season. The bringer of bliss is a curvy road. Whether or not, I know where it goes. The bringer of bliss is a bright blue sky. I could get lost, not worrying why. What is your bringer of bliss? What is the moment? What is the place? Who is the person? What is the thing? What is your bringer of bliss? My bringer of bliss is a kitty cat. Who would have ever thought of that? My bringer of bliss is lunch with a friend during those moments